Hi guys, my name is Amish Tripathi and I'm the director of the Nehru Centre. The Nehru Centre is the cultural wing of the Indian High Commission in the UK, and we've been in existence for many decades, and we organize wonderful events at this very auditorium, which is in Mayfair in central London. Sadly, as you can see, the auditorium is empty. It has been empty since we were all put into lockdown due to the coronavirus pandemic. But what we Indians believe is that the other side of a crisis is an opportunity. And what we have done at the Nehru Centre is moved all our events online. So now if you attend our online events, every single seat is a VIP seat. Like you get a front row at our events. No trouble of parking, no trouble of traveling all the way. And most practically all the programs that we would do, like literary discussions and dance performances, musical performances, we are doing them all on our online channels. You can register for our newsletter at our website nehrucentre.org.uk. You don't need to write them down, they will be displayed at the bottom of the screen. You can also come to our Facebook page, which is a verified page, the Nehru Centre. You can follow updates on all our events on Twitter as well, the Nehru Centre, that's also a verified account. Or you can come to our YouTube channel, again, the Nehru Centre. We are nothing if not consistent. I hope you do come to our online channels and enjoy the events that we are putting up for you. Thank you so much for all your love and support. Namaste, Jai Hind.
Hi guys, those of you who follow me on Twitter and Instagram know that I'm a huge cricket fan. So this day is extra special for me because we are hosting on the Nehru Centre online platform simply the best batsman that has ever worn an England shirt. Kevin Pietersen, let's bring him up on stage, please.
Hey, Amish, how are you?
I'm well, Kevin. How are you doing?
I'm very good, thank you. I'm in your homeland, and I've been here now for, I think, 5 days and loving it. I always love coming back to India. So welcoming. The hospitality is better than anywhere in the world. The facilities are spectacular. So it always fills me with happiness when I can come to your great shores. And I know that we're on opposite ends. You're
I'm in London.
in London, you're in London, and I'm here in Raipur at the moment.
Yeah, this is what you call Indo-UK friendship.
This is exactly right. This is called the modern age. Hey, geography is history.
Geography is history. This is a government platform, Nehru Centre. So I'm sorry to be sarkari, but let me read out your introduction and then we'll jump straight into a conversation. Not that Kevin Pietersen needs an introduction. If any of you need that, shame on you guys. But let me read it out. Widely known for his cricketing prowess, Kevin Pietersen MBE has been described by esteemed legends within the game as simply the greatest batsman to ever wear an England shirt. Kevin made his debut for England in 2005 and played 104 test matches, scoring 8,181 runs at an average of 47.28 in an international career that spanned a decade. He scored over 13,000 runs in all formats of the game and in 2013 became England's all-time leading run scorer, scoring a sensational 158 at the Oval in 2005, an innings which helped England secure an Ashes victory for the first time since 1987. Kevin received an MBE from Her Majesty the Queen. Cricket, however, is only one part of Kevin, who is a fearless, selfless, and uplifting individual. Kevin has demonstrated a fierce determination to overcome adversity and help inspire others to find a new pathway in life through his work in preventing rhinos from going extinct. And we will be discussing a lot about that project. Kevin, as you know, my son is a huge nature freak. My 11-year-old son, Neil. And he's delighted with the work that you're doing to protect rhinos both in Africa and India. But first, sorry for asking you the obvious question. What do you think about the match today, the second day?
The less I think of it, the better, actually, from an English perspective. The batting has been atrocious. by England. I think the spin bowling has been even worse. But that also must be said that the Indian spin bowling has just been fabulous. It really has been brilliant. I saw Ravinder Jadeja get injured in Australia, and I thought, there's a hiccup. We could have one over India. And I actually tweeted, I said, India will be missing Jadeja in this series. And I thought that that was such a big moment because of how good he is and how his left arm spin plays such a big role in subcontinent conditions, and how he bats so well, and how much of a master he is in the field, and how athletic he is, and how much energy he brings to that Indian setup. So when I saw him go down, I was like, you little beauty. We turned up in Chennai and we knocked India over, and I thought, let's keep going. Then how the selectors thought Akshar Patel was a good job, I got no idea. But he's come in and he's completely transformed the series. He has been a master, an absolute master, and he's done everything that Jadeja would have done in this series. Ravichandran Ashwin, I mean, he hasn't played for a while. He's in and out. Virat's brought him back in, and he's just very smart. You can see how meticulous he is in his preparation, his understanding of the game. He's a clear thinker, and he's not afraid to do things outside of the bubble and court controversy like he did with the Mankad a couple of seasons ago in the IPL with Jos Buttler. So he doesn't mind controversy, which actually makes him a better player because it means he can deal with pressure and he can deal with the weight of expectation. So to talk about the Indian spinners, they've been fabulous, absolutely brilliant. And I think that the better team is winning this series because England's young batting lineup hasn't been very special. Root got runs, yes. Stokes chipped in a couple of times. But again, it's in England's first trip for quite a few youngsters. So it's quite hard to come and tour the subcontinent first time. I mean, remember when Harbhajan Singh knocked over Ricky Ponting? What did he knock him over when? Like 0.003 or something in a test series where he averaged like 10 or 2. He didn't even average. I don't think he got double figures. So in a roundabout way, I hope I'm answering your question. I mean, I've put quite a bit of thought into that answer, I suppose.
No, I mean, it's it is a tough tour, no doubt. A tour to India, especially if Spain is tough. It is tough. It's interesting when you speak of Ashwin. There was one discussion that happened between Sunil Gavaskar and L. Shivaramakrishnan on who's a better all-rounder, Ben Stokes or R. Ashwin. Interestingly, many of the Indians were actually voting for Ben Stokes. They were saying R. Ashwin is, of course, fantastic. But Ben Stokes can get in both as a batsman and as a bowler. I, of course, am biased as a fan. But what do you think as a...
Well, I always think you judge an all-rounder on whether they can, if they can't bowl, be picked as a batter. And if they can't bat, whether they'd be picked as a bowler. And I don't think Ravichandran Ashwin stacks up. You're not going to... If Ravichandran Ashwin hurts his shoulder, like we actually saw last season when he dived for that ball in the IPL and he knocked his shoulder out. Now, if he'd been able to bat, would they have still picked him? I'm not so sure they would have still picked him. He is a bowler who bats. Whereas Ben Stokes, if Ben Stokes does his shoulder and he says, listen, captain, I can't bowl. I'm absolutely knackered. My shoulder's gone. But you know what? You strap it up and I'll still be able to get you 100. Stokes plays. So I think that's how you judge an all-rounder.
Fair. And what about Rishabh Pant's reverse sweep to Jimmy Anderson? What is that? It was a bit like watching your switch shot. Like, just what was that? What just happened?
You know, you get into a space mentally where when the bowler's running up, and it's quite weird, they talk about you get into the zone, and sportsmen often talk about getting into the zone. When you're in the zone, you believe everything is possible. You are fearless. You actually, when the bowler's running up, you're picking the delivery. So when Anderson was running up there, he would have been picking the delivery. Everything also happens in slow motion. Complete opposite to when you're underperforming and you're under pressure. Everything just happens so quick. Whereas when you're in the zone, everything happens so slowly. It just happens, at the slowest pace. And so when Rishabh Pant's obviously batting beautifully like he did today and was playing the situation well, and then he started to accelerate with the new ball, anything was possible. We've seen how talented he is. I mean, he's frustrated so many of us. I mean, I've criticized him heavily on the IPL during the commentary and saying, why are you playing that shot? Why do you keep getting out in the same way? But then I watched him in Australia and I saw that innings in Brisbane and I thought, okay, the boy is turning into a man. And then I think the way that he played today, he backed up Brisbane.
Yeah, fair. Very interesting point. If we can get a bid into your past as well, your magical 158 in Australia in 2005, what was going through in your mind? I mean, that was one of the finest innings one has ever seen.
Yeah, again, you talk about the zone and you can get into that zone and it's the most lovely place in the world to be. I don't know how to describe it. For a normal person, I don't know how to describe it. It's really difficult to describe, to try and explain to somebody who's not a sportsman what that kind of feeling feels like. It's difficult because everything just comes so easy. And you just watch it and you see players that can get into the zone and you watch them play and the freedom at which they played. I mean, this evening, I mean, I'm here in Raipur because I'm playing in the Road Safety Series. And Tendulkar and Sehwag, they opened the batting this evening. They chased 110. Bangladesh got 110. Sehwag got 100. What did he get? He got 80 or 35 balls this evening.
My God.
Tendulkar just stood there and just watched. And he was interviewed afterwards and he said, you know what? For years and years and years, I've had the best seat in the house just watching Sehwag smash it everywhere. And that's the freedom at which you play in. So you talk about that 158 and some of the other innings that I've played, quite a few against India. I've been in the zone. I've been in the zone and it just, you feel free. You feel like a bird. You feel like you're just up in the clouds. And nothing can touch you. You're untouchable. And it's the most free feeling that you could ever possibly imagine.
Yeah, one can write books on that.
I think so. I think people have tried. Yeah.
People have, many people don't know that you actually played first class Talib Trophy in India as a part of a guest England team. What is that like?
Yes. That was in 2002, 2003, somewhere around then. We came in as an England A side or an England academy team. And we played in the Talib Trophy and we played a bit of cricket in your domestic competition here. I loved it. I think I got 500s on that trip. So I loved it. I had the most wonderful time. But India wasn't as good then as it is now. And a couple of our ex-players, so this is the Road Series, so it's ex-players that have played for England, played international cricket, and it's amazing because they've come back into India and they've gone, wow, look at this airport, like the GMR's airport, Kiran Grande, the airport in Delhi, and this hotel and how beautiful it is. And India over the last, I say since 2007, 2008, since the IPL, I've started to notice, and I've been very verbal when I've said that it is one of the most best places to travel, to tour, to be a cricketer. And it really, really is. That 2003, 2004 series, I remember it was in some of the areas, some of the what do you call them, category A, B, C, is that how you see? So the category A cities, the B cities, C. I mean, we went into a couple of the C and D cities, if my memory serves me correct. And for somebody living in England and being on the county circuit and not having traveled to the subcontinent before, it was a tough tour, really tough tour, because they were different conditions, completely alien conditions. Getting on wickets that spun, and the luxuries of the UK weren't here. So I remember it being a tough tour. I mean, I played nicely. I got 500s. But I suppose my love affair with India has just grown from there. I've been able to come to India 4 or 5 times a year and just seeing it grow and be better and be just the most special and most wonderful place.
And India loves you back as well. Who's the toughest bowler you've ever faced? I promise this will be the last cricket question. Then we'll jump into what we truly want.
Easy. This is easy. This is easy. Muhammad Asif from
Hmm.
Pakistan.
Right. Okay.
Oh,
Fair.
I had absolutely no idea what he was doing. No idea. Absolutely no idea. I was either batting poorly whenever I played against Pakistan, or he was just so good. And I'm going to go with he was so good. A little bit of a combination of both. Oh,
One of the
so
things
good.
that brings you to India so often, we will of course get audience questions. We'll start putting them up soon. But one of the things that brings you to India regularly is your the charity that you're running, SORAI, um, on saving our rhinos in both Africa and India.
Yep,
This is the thing. My son is not much of a cricket fan. Sadly, he's 11 years old, but he's a major nature freak. I've been forced to go on safari holidays thanks to him. And when I told him that I was interviewing you and you do this work, he was so excited because, and he was telling
yeah,
me how rhinos are very important for nature and for the ecosystem. So, in fact, if you save them, you end up saving an entire ecosystem uh,
absolutely.
as a result of that. So, before we jump into that conversation, we made a video to showcase the kind of work that you've been doing with this wonderful charity. Guys, please watch this. Kevin is far more than a cricketer. He's a great conservationist.
My name is Kevin Pietersen, and if you're watching this, I assume you share a similar view to me, that we need to do everything possible to save the rhino from extinction. If we don't, they could be gone by 2025. SORAI stands for Save Our Rhino, Africa, India. Our mission is to save the rhino from extinction. We are focused and committed to rescuing the abandoned, injured, or orphaned rhinos who are usually in that situation because of the rampant poaching situation.
The poachers use a boat. They come in under the cover of darkness.
We have to protect it by any cost.
শিকারিয়ে মানে গুলি করেছে
It's a spine-chilling horror story, what is happening in the African bushveld and in parts of northeast India. When you see how savage it is, how an absolutely amazing animal is being slaughtered every single day, it kills me inside every single time I get sent these pictures. What people are doing to something that doesn't have a voice, that is actually quite an inquisitive animal, that will actually walk towards you to come and see you, and then to just chop its head off, to shoot it dead. It is so super emotional because it is disgusting to see what's happening, and it's awful. The most stupid reasons. A rhino is being killed every 8 hours, and that for me is not on, it's unacceptable, and that's why it's all out war.
It's absolutely essential that we figure out safe passage for wildlife.
আমি আর দাঁতিকার হয়ে মানে শুনে যদি গড় মাৰি শেষে কৰি দিওঁ যদি শেষে কৰি দিওঁ তেতিয়া কাজিৰঙা বৈশিষ্ট্যটোৱে নাথাকিব
We are trying to save an animal from people that are trying to get to an animal. They've got guns, and they've got high caliber guns. We've got high caliber guns as well. It's actually no longer conservation. It's all out war. It's my passion to help conserve them. This is not something we can pass off onto the next generation. This is our fight. It's a fight right now. It's our responsibility, not our kids and not our grandchildren. I could use your help and support. Please donate or buy some merchandise from the website and help be part of something a lot bigger than just us. Thank you from SORAI.
What brought you into this, Kevin? What drew you to this?
When I
This
finished
cause?
playing for England, I went to South Africa on a weekend away with a couple of my buddies, and on that weekend away, we went into the African bushveld, and we went and did a micro-chipping of some rhino, and we went and did some conservation in South Africa around what I didn't realize and I didn't understand at the time was quite a drastic proposition. It was rhinos were being killed every 8 hours. A rhino was being killed, brutally murdered. There were elephants that were being brutally butchered. The illegal wildlife trade was something that I wasn't completely aware of at the time because I was caught up in this whole bubble when it was just all about cricket, training, practice, hotel, travel. I just had a little baby. My boy was only a couple of years old. So I was caught up in all of this. And at the end of the day, I'm South African. My roots are South African. First 20 years of my life are South African. So it doesn't matter how long I've spent in England, I'm grounded as South African. And when I got back there and I started to hear what was happening, and it was at the time when it was quite a big furore around me finishing with England and the way that ended. So I was front page, back page, and middle page of almost every single newspaper around the world for quite a big period of time. So I said to the guys in South Africa, how can I help? And they said, well, considering you are pretty profiled at the moment, we could do with you spreading awareness and talking about what's happening. The more I spoke about awareness, the more I spoke about the situation, the more I asked myself questions, how much more can I do? How much more can I do? So I was on the T20 circuit. I was playing the IPL. I was playing the PSL. I was playing the Big Bash. I was playing cricket for Surrey. I was playing all those circuits. And I decided I was going to put a rhino on my bat. And then I decided, you know what, I'm going to make a bat that is just dedicated to rhinos, and all the money that I got from sponsorship to endorse a brand, all of that, I threw that into rhino conservation. We sold the bats, and a lot of people said to us, well, we can't afford the bats, but we want to be a part of it. So people, interestingly enough, wanted the stickers to re-sticker their bats. And so we did that for a while. And then I thought, goodness gracious, there's so many things that can be done here. So we did wristbands, then we did caps, and it was amazing. Like everything just sold out. And I was like, gee, we are really onto something here. We need to really get into this and start to do a little bit more. So over the last couple of years, I've been able to get some really amazing people involved in the brand. SORAI is a brand with a charitable aspect to it. So we donate 20% of all of our profits directly to the causes. But to get it to a level where we want to get the brand to, we needed investment, and we needed a real good professional structure behind us. So COVID actually helped us in a weird kind of way. COVID helped us because it gave us a lot more time to get a system in place, to get investors in place. And I treat this like my baby. I treat this like my absolute little baby, whereby a lot of people go into business wanting financial rewards. But for us as a brand, we are only interested on stopping the illegal wildlife trade. And I've actually tweeted it a couple of times over the last week. People are so obsessed with Harry and Meghan and everything that's happening within the royal family. People were so obsessed with Trump and getting rid of Trump. People are so obsessed with the economy, and rightly so, Rishi Sunak and the economy, the Chancellor, everything that happened on Wednesday, and the complete debrief on absolutely everything. But why are we in this pandemic? That is the question I want answered. Why are we in this pandemic? We're in this pandemic, and I'll answer it for all the people listening. And I'm going to be picking the heads of a lot of journalists and some very high-profile people very soon as we come out of it, and the vaccination process is being run so well. And places like India are just being so spectacular in delivering vaccines all over the world. The generosity, again, India, unbelievable. The vaccine process in Israel, Dubai, spectacular. However, we're in this crisis because of the illegal wildlife trade. That is why we are in this problem. Now, why won't the mainstream media go after the illegal wildlife trade? I know the WHO tried to get into China, and they went into China. They were blocked from going into China for a couple of weeks, only a few months ago. Then they got in, and we haven't seen much from it. Why won't the mainstream media go after China? Why won't they go after the East? Why won't they go after what's causing the chaos and the pandemonium that's been happening over the last 12 months? Millions of people have lost their lives.
But in terms of the rhinos, what is it that drives this illegal trade?
It's their horn. It's their horn. Their horn is the most valuable commodity on the black market. A rhino horn fetches between 65 to 85,000 US dollars per kilogram.
Good Lord. Good Lord.
Per kilogram. So you have a look at me cuddling there. There's baby Arthur. I'm cuddling baby Arthur in the picture on the right hand side there. I mean, baby Arthur, that horn there, that's real small. Arthur's only 3 to 4 months old there at that time. I mean, he's sitting there with $100,000 on his head. And then you have a look at some of the other pictures. Some of these animals are sitting with $250,000, $300,000, $400,000 on their heads. So people are going in there and they're killing them, they're butchering them. And the rhino is part of the big five. No one know what the big five is in Africa: the lion, the leopard, the rhino, the elephant, and the buffalo. And you take away one of the big five. And I did a poll the other day on social media again, and I said, bucket list. What's everyone's bucket list? Safari is on everybody's bucket list. Where would the world be without the rhino? And it's disappearing in front of our own very eyes. In the last 10 years, in South Africa alone, they've lost 2/3 of the rhino population.
My God.
And on the flip side of that, you showed me doing the documentary. I did a documentary in Kaziranga last year on the Indian rhino.
Yeah.
The Indians.
So if I may just cut in, for our British audiences who don't know, Kaziranga is in the northeastern state of Assam. It's a wildlife reserve. It's in the northeastern state of Assam where the Indian rhino exists. Sorry, Kevin, please carry on.
That's okay. Yeah. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's in Assam. It's northeast of Calcutta, very close to the border of China, Bangladesh, up and around that area. And it is where a conservation masterpiece is happening. The rhino population is thriving beyond belief. They are now having to relocate animals to a different park in the area, which name escapes me. Goodness, there's another one. There's another park, but because of the density of rhino in Kaziranga, they're having to relocate, which fills me and filled us and my whole crew with so much satisfaction, so much happiness, because we shot a documentary for National Geographic in South Africa on the plight of the rhino there, and it's no good. Whereas in India, it is a conservation masterpiece.
What have we done right?
They live. The difference between Africans and Indians very peaceful people, very religious people, whereas in South Africa and in Africa, there's a lot of unrest, and it's the people are more aggressive. They're a lot more hostile. And it's amazing to see that in South Africa, you've got electric fences, which are governed by Wi-Fi technology. There's armed guards, there's this, there's that, there's 3 tiers of fencing. There are just the most crazy operations. Whereas in Kaziranga National Park, the fence is a human fence. People are the fence. People love the animals. People look up to the animals. It's just a symbol of Assam. The rhino is a symbol of Assam. And so when we got there, it was the first time I'd ever seen an Indian rhino, and I got goosebumps, man, driving into Kaziranga National Park just there. And I was like, where's the fence? And our guys who driving this, they said, there's no fences. I said, what do you mean there's no fences? There's absolutely no fences. So yeah, it's just, you know what, it's also education for me. It's understanding people, it's understanding nature, it's understanding how big a role the rhino plays as a keystone species in the environment. You get rid of the rhino, I mean, it takes out that much grazing on the field, so it just cleans out insects, it cleans out butterflies, it cleans out all sorts of things. And so there are just so many things that work in a symbiotic way which it would destroy. And in Africa, in front of our own very eyes, the illegal wildlife trade is destroying something so close to our hearts.
Large part of it would be to remove the demand itself, right, for the horns. And if the demand for it goes, then much of the wildlife trade that exists. What can be done about that? What are those horns used for? if there are,
Mate, that's government, right? That's
yeah.
government. I mean, you have a look at how much money the governments have. Look how much money they've spent on this pandemic. I saw a statistic, not a statistic, I saw a number today that just on test and trace in the UK over the last 12 months, they've spent 38 billion pounds. Give me 1 billion and I will save the rhino from extinction in South Africa. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? The amount of money that's there and where the government puts things. And I understand humans are losing their lives. And I understand it's a global pandemic. And I understand all these things. I get it. Like, I'm not putting to one side. People have lost their lives. And I completely get it. And that's been said enough. Absolutely, that's been said enough by everybody. And it feels like everybody has to go, oh, I'm so sorry about the people that lost their lives. And we all are. We all have empathy. We all understand it. However, where is the empathy for what's caused this? Where is it? I've not seen a journalist yet go after the illegal wildlife trade. Not seen it. But they will smash Trump, which I do as well, which is fine. They will go after everything that's happening with Rishi Sunak. They'll go after everything that's happening here in India around the farmers and the political situation here. They will do all sorts of things around test and trace, the vaccine, all these things. But who's going to be the first person to go after the illegal wildlife trade? We have the most amazing opportunity to make sure that a future pandemic doesn't happen. Because I can tell you something now, and I'll tell all the listeners, there is a future pandemic coming because right now they are killing lions for their bones in Africa. They are poisoning. They are because of, again, cultural beliefs and wanting the bones of lions. And they believe that it acts as an aphrodisiac. They believe that it cures cancer. Same stupid reasons around lion bones are attached to rhino horn. And you have a look at that and you just think about just how crazy it is. But the way that they kill the lion is so disgusting. They will poison the carcass of an animal. The animal will die. Lions will go and feed on the animal. Pride of lion will die. They'll take the vultures with them. They'll take hyena with them. It's savage what's happening. Absolutely savage. But to stop the source, I'm a cricketer. My profile doesn't go into China. I unfortunately can't go into China and go and create too much of a, hey, let's stop this vibe. And that's why I say government spend needs to definitely be looked at. Definitely needs to be looked at.
There's a thing of rhinos being aggressive animals as well, which doesn't appear so from your photographs. I discovered that in the few safaris I did with my son as well.
And it's weird, isn't it? In Kaziranga, they don't seem too habituated to vehicles and to humans. They're inquisitive animals. They're shy animals. Their hearing's fantastic. Their eyesight's poor, so they need to come and observe. They need to walk into a situation before they can sort of see things. But I also experienced on quite a few occasions in Kaziranga National Park that those dudes didn't dig me. They didn't like the vehicle. They didn't like something about me. We got normally I can sit with my family and we can just observe when we're in Africa and we're at our lodge and stuff, and we can just sit there for hours with the animals. But in India, you are in first gear and you're watching with your foot on the pedal. Strange.
There's this viral video in India of a rhino on a road who
Yes.
decided to just,
Yes.
I don't know if have you seen that? And chasing
The
every
cars are
single,
reversing. Everyone's
and every
wobbling.
car that was coming was like reversing desperately out,
Yeah.
jumping into
They're massive animals. The damage they could do to you.
Yeah.
Massive animals.
They're the size of a small car.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Oh, if they get you, you're going to know about it.
Yeah. Okay, we had a question from here. I think you've partly answered that what can be done to stop the demand for this, the illegal wildlife trade? Much of the demand is from cruel people driving this black market, and the ones buying all this stuff from poachers are more inhuman. Agree with you, Vishwa, and
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, Vishwa. It's. I think I've answered that question. Very difficult for me to stop the source. There are some amazing charities out there. There are some amazing people out there who do some fabulous work. But it's about the big boys. It's about the real big boys. And I'm talking governments. I'm talking about the real big players. They need to get their backsides into gear, and they need to start moving in a direction where they stop the brutality of these animals. I mean, we are the voice for the voiceless. I keep saying that. We're the voice for the voiceless, and something needs to be done.
what are the other, in your the time that you spent with rhinos? Are there any other animals you think which are as critical in that ecosystem, which are at risk now, which people
you've
should
got the tiger,
Yeah.
critically endangered. You've got the leopard. You've got the elephants that are being every 15 minutes an elephant is being taken out in Africa. The pangolin is the most trafficked animal in the world. So SORAI is, I mean, our rhino within SORAI, that's our keystone species. That's our logo and that's our brand. But we are committed and dedicated to stopping the illegal wildlife trade and trying to at least slow down what's happening at the moment. And it's I mean, when you're out there, it's a sobering sight, walking into carcasses, dead carcasses, wounded animals, and seeing also what these rangers have to go through, because these are humans as well who once were conservationists. They were once people who counted animals, who checked vegetation, who burnt areas, huge areas with controlled fires, and moved animals from one place to the other. And they just loved their jobs, and they spent time and watching animals grow up. I mean, they're now soldiers. They walk around with R1s, big guns, protecting the animals. And I've seen it. You saw that on the clip there in Kaziranga National Park. There are men's forces. There's the most fierce women's force as well. Most beautiful women protecting our animals. But they're walking around with guns and military uniform. And in South Africa, it's exactly the same. We shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't be doing that. We shouldn't.
No, and I've seen it in Kenya as well. I've been to Kenya and Tanzania. They've taken on a much more aggressive approach towards poachers to save their animals, and it has worked to a pretty large extent. Devina has a message for you. Thank you for highlighting and prioritizing the plight of rhinos and the illegal trade. We as a race need to start taking responsibility for our neglectful and irresponsible actions.
The thing is, Davina, it's not we as a race. There's only a certain part or a certain section of civilization that's creating this. There's more good people than there are bad people, but there's not enough good people trying to stop the bad people, or there's not enough good people in power dedicated to trying to stop the bad people. And it's a shame. It's a real shame. So don't feel too hard up about yourself or your friends or your family. There's just some real bad.
Yeah, but we need to raise our voice. On that, there's no doubt. Yogesh Joshi has an idea. How about working on making 2025 a year of rhino to raise global awareness? Kevin, you are at the best place to make this happen. So, would you give it a thought? Nehru Centre would be delighted to support this.
The problem, Yogesh, is that in 2025 it could be too late. So I ain't waiting for 2025. We're doing it now, and Amish, that's one of the very reasons that we're speaking on your very popular show, is because of the fact that you have a big audience that can hopefully from this evening start to have a look at things, and if there are some connected people watching, and I'm sure that there are, because this is a wonderful audience, and you guys are in a pretty powerful position to start making some noises about the fact that, hey, yeah, we will go after Trump, we will go after Boris. I mean, stories in the papers today about Boris and Carrie eating well during lockdown. I mean, are you crazy? Who cares? Who cares what they're eating? How about that same journalist, instead of trying to take a pot shot at another human being, let's start going after what's the reason why we're in this pandemic.
Oh, very true. And rhinos are emblematic of the Indian state of Assam. Those of you who are from the northeast, from the east, who love safaris, take up this issue on what we can do to save our rhinos and support this movement. Kevin, Atish Panda has comment. You and Rohit are two well-known individuals who are working hard behind the scenes to make a difference to the endangered species without making a noise or fuss. But high time to highlight the imbalance. Right, Atish? That's exactly what actually we are trying to do, to put up this, to bring up this issue.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what's been so amazing is I get spoken to in airports. Okay, well, pre-pandemic in airports when I was traveling a hell of a lot, I get spoken to a lot more about conservation and animals, the plight of the rhino, endangered species, than about cricket all my career, which actually makes me incredibly happy, because there's more to life than just a sports career. Sports is great. It's entertainment, and it can bring you to a certain level if you're lucky enough to have performed on the greatest stage for a long period of time. But then to get to a different level where you can really make the world a better place is a lot more important. And that's something that I'm trying to focus on with all my attention, with my brand, SORAI, with my investors, with our board, and just with everybody associated to it, because we can't do it just by ourselves. No way we can do it by ourselves. So there's some fabulous people out there, but we need more. We need more.
Couldn't agree more. Shreyank Perla says, why are we failing as a society to create a conservationist mentality in all our children so that they come forward and take charge in conservation of the endangered animals? Kevin?
My kids do.
My son does.
Yeah, your son does. I think that they are. I think, I mean, on some occasions, I'll try, like I'll have a bottle of water like this, and then I'll just flick it in the bin at home. And my son, who's 10, will say, Dad, recycling. And I'll go, sorry, boy. Sorry, boy. So I do think that the generation is starting to learn a little bit more. And I'm also starting to see big brands collaborate with other brands in this space. I mean, we have the most fabulous collaboration with Hublot, which is one of the LVMH brands. And SORAI and Hublot, we did a watch which sold out before it even went to market. We did 100 pieces. It sold out before it went to market 2 years ago. We're on our second watch, and we're launching that in early May. So that's a huge, huge brand. And we're talking to other big brands who want to collaborate and want to start actually now making the world a better place. We've seen Greta Thunberg do the most beautiful work on climate change, but I'm biodiversity focused. I'm more on the planet and walking around what we see and the animals. That's my vibe. That's my direction. And that's where we need all the help we can get.
Fascinating. Kevin, I mean, my son has forced me to move off plastic, actually. I use,
Brilliant.
I got to use one of these things for water.
How cool is that?
What an absolute pleasure to have you on board. You've always had me as a fan, as a cricketer. But because you're a conservationist, my 11-year-old boy is a fan of you now. We hope to engage a lot more. Thank you so much for bringing attention to the rhinos in South Africa and in our country, in India and Assam as well. And we're honored and delighted to have hosted you at the Nehru Centre. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's been an absolute pleasure, Amish. It really has. And we will no doubt chat soon. And this, we've been speaking for 45 minutes. It's felt like 2 minutes. Spectacular. Amazing. Amazing. I've loved it. I've loved it. It's gone so quick.
And the last question, back to cricket. Who's winning now?
You said you wouldn't come back to cricket. Sorry, my wife. There seems to be a little bit of an issue with my Wi-Fi at the moment. Or is it just the battery of my computer? I'm trying to see what the issue is here. And I'll tell you, if England had the lead that India had now, you would not have finished with that question. But I think you guys are going to win this series 3-1, and I think you'll play the World Chess Championship final at Lords against New Zealand in a couple of months.
Yeah, and hopefully we'll meet out there. Look forward to catching up.
Get the vaccine, brother, and then we are hopefully out of all of this. We can just travel and be normal and just get our lives back.
Absolutely. Find the jab, get the jab.
That's
pleasure chatting with you, Kevin.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers, mate.
Bye.